Tauruses with Sagittarius. This is one of the more difficult combinations, astrologically speaking. What happens if you have your ascendant in Taurus or your sun in Taurus? Then a Sagittarius person will trigger your 8th house. The 8th sign from Taurus, counting in the direction of the signs, is Sagittarius. And it's a difficult astrological house. It's called one of the, one of the more testing houses in astrology. So the Sagittarius people will be bringing up in the life of the Taurus ascendant or sun person more testing and more lessons that are usually learned a bit more the hard way, but it can be very growing experience to have to be a Taurus and have a Sagittarius in your life. And the 8th house is the house of obsessions, of addictions, of anything which is overpowering over the person, which has more control, more power over the person. So it's the house of all our weaknesses and vulnerabilities and fears and addictions. And Sagittarius person, if they're they can increase those fears in the Taurus person. They can make the Taurus person feel more vulnerable or more almost like more inclined towards the darker side of life, or even develop addictions or obsessions in some way, or just the Sagittarius person can make the Taurus person confront for the first time in their life the darker side of life. I'm not saying crime, but something that is usually a taboo for the Taurus ascendant person, particularly Taurus ascendant, but Taurus sun person as well. So they can rub the Taurus person a little bit negatively, and they can be sometimes even quite negative influence for Taurus person. But this is if the Sagittarius person is not very spiritually aware, or is acting more blindly. And even though they trigger those difficult issues in the life of the Taurus person, what they do is that they will teach the Taurus person this way how to deal with such difficult topics, how to overcome addictions, how to overcome weaknesses, how to be emotionally more secure and stable once they have confronted such disruptive or taboo or intense issues that they haven't otherwise. Triggering someone's 8th house is very deep, actually. It's very fascinating. It can be very fascinating for the Taurus person when the Sagittarius person triggers their 8th house, because 8th house is so deep, intense, it's sexual as well, and there is even manipulative influences there. So the Taurus person might for the first time, or might encounter from the Sagittarius person like manipulation or power games, or there can be a lot of fight for power and control between these two signs, because triggering the 8th house, the person becomes more power hungry or more manipulative themselves. So the Taurus can become the manipulative one, or the Sagittarius can be the manipulative one, so they can bring those energies of the 8th house into the life of the Taurus person. Also, but again, as I said, when you face such problems, you shouldn't hate such a person if they make in your face such themes of your life. The Taurus shouldn't hate the Sagittarius person, because I keep saying only these things, these difficulties and facing those things make us stronger and make us more powerful people. And actually, eventually, the purpose of the Sagittarius person being in the life of the Taurus is to make the Taurus person more powerful, but to give him a real power. It's not a power of control over another, a manipulative power. It's a real power which comes from transformation and change. So the Taurus, the real role of the Sagittarius in the life of the Taurus is to bring big transformation into the life of Taurus. And they can do it the bad way, as I said, by the ways that I mentioned, through manipulation or through increasing the weaknesses and the fears in the life of the Taurus. So they can do it in a positive way by being like a psychological healer, because it has also rules psychology, it rules the healing, it rules this most difficult process of facing our fears, but also rules and our biggest fears and weaknesses, but also holds the healing of those issues. So Sagittarius is ultimately a great healer, sometimes even in the hard way, a difficult teacher, sometimes in the hard way for the Taurus person. So they can be great psychologists for the Taurus person, energy workers or healers for the Taurus person, even great friends who the Taurus person can share deep things and hidden things and taboo things and private things that they wouldn't share otherwise with other people, because Sagittarius triggers that more secretive part of Taurus. Actually, often they can be even hidden relationships between like a love, like cheating, or like a love triangles with the Sagittarius and with the Taurus and Sagittarius, because that house rules everything that is hidden that we do, everything that we hide from others. So we might be feeling quite a desire, hidden desire. They can be a Sagittarius can become the hidden pleasure for a Taurus person, or vice versa. You know, they just influence each other like that, and they can trigger those themes of secrecy and hiding, and even extramarital affairs between these two signs, or conspiring together to do something wrong. You know, doesn't have to be always love or sex. But that's in the lower manifestation of the 8th house. While the higher manifestations, they're always transformation. The Sagittarius person helps the Taurus person go through changes. So they can be great bereavement counselors. They can be great friend to help the Taurus through breakups, through going through big life changes, through, you know, any kind of big changes which is disruptive to the Taurus, because 8th house rules all the big crises and changes in our life. And they can be great psychologists and healer for the Taurus person, the Sagittarius. So you see, they can also have very positive influence. And also, it's Taurus person can benefit from financial advice from a Sagittarius person, or even financial resources, because 8th house rules also shared resources, so mutual money together. So Tauruses can benefit financially from Sagittarius, or financial advice from Sagittarius, or even pairing up for business with Sagittarius. They can increase their finances, so they can just bring those issues of sharing mutual finances very deeply to the consciousness of the Taurus person. Giving and taking finances, you know, sharing finances in a relationship can become of paramount influence when Taurus and Sagittarius are together. And this can happen in the hard way or in the positive way. It can happen through a lot of arguments about mutual finances, so by increasing financial wealth together. Anyway, how do Taurus affect the Sagittarius? Sagittarius ascendant, say if you have Sagittarius ascendant or Sagittarius moon, Taurus will trigger your 6th house, which is another difficult house. So for Sagittarius, Tauruses might be rubbing them a bit the wrong way, and they can be a bit more friction than with other signs, because 6th house is the house of animosity and arguments and you know, unequal relationship. So there can be an equal relationship between a Taurus and Sagittarius. One having more power in the relationship, one trying to control, or one trying to, is very similar to 8th house, the control issues that we talked about. So they reflect each other a little bit. So Tauruses can rub Sagittarius the wrong way or annoy them more. If you're in a relationship, Sagittarius ascendant with a Taurus sun or moon person, they can have more arguments than normal. But again, these arguments are there to teach the Sagittarius person how to handle conflict better, because 6th house rules conflict, and Taurus person is in the life of the Sagittarius person to teach them how to handle conflict, to teach them how to handle problems and difficulties in life, especially problems and difficulties of practical material nature, because 6th house is a very much earth practical material house. So Taurus person can very much teach a Sagittarius person how to be more efficient, more organized in work, how to deal with their debts and financial difficulties better, or how to sort out their everyday, you know, how to make their day more productive and efficient, or their work more productive and efficient, you know, because 6th house was the work. 6th house is all this work ethic, the service we do to others, and also Sagittarius can have a service to do for the Taurus person, or the Taurus person can be the one actually who is subservient to the Sagittarius person, because 6th house is the house of slaves and service and karma from past life and returning back service. So Taurus people, if you're Sagittarius ascendant or sun, often Taurus people might owe you something. So they're in your life to give you back something and to rebalance their karmic debt. And sometimes it can be the opposite. You know, sometimes it's reflected. As I say, always in astrology, there is this mirroring that can happen. So one of the two figures is that one owes something to the other, so it has to do a bit more for the other. So that's why a little bit more unequal relationships. One gives more, and the other takes, the other gives less. You know, because one is, you know, rebalancing old karma. And especially if you want to learn to be more organized, more practical, more efficient, and you're a Sagittarius ascendant or sun, find yourself a Taurus friend that will teach you how to do that, either by negative example that drives you mad if they're too messy, and you say enough, I'll get organized my life and I'll become more hardworking and more efficient, or by positive example. It doesn't matter how it happened, but they will trigger this whole 6th house. A Taurus will trigger for Sagittarius those 6th house tendencies, you know, for more organization, for getting better health, taking better care of the physical, practical side of life, especially of the physical body as well. So Sagittarius person is great to find a Taurus motivator, a Taurus workout instructor, for instance, or Taurus can really tell them you're so fat, you know, or criticize them some way, and this can really motivate the Sagittarius. Or you're so messy, or your business, nothing's going to happen with it because you have no business idea how to manage your business properly. As Taurus says this to Sagittarius, and Sagittarius goes mad and decides to organize their business, or decides to lose weight. You know, it can happen in any way. It can happen in positive way or in a negative way, by positive example or negative, as I said. So thank you very much. Sagittarius and Taurus is interesting relationship between the two of you, but you give each other a lot of growth usually by rubbing each other in a negative way sometimes, and in the positive way when people are a bit more evolved. Thank you very much.